folks, Doug here from Sunrise Ranch. You guys know that I have a hobby for cooking and that sort of a thing. Every cowboy has his weekend or his winter hobbies. This is mine. We do all kinds of stuff here at our commercial kitchen on the ranch. And today I wanted to show you how we make our tallow and lard and how we render that. All kinds of good stuff you can make from beef products. This is grass-fed beef we raise on our ranch. This represents about a third of what we would get off of a typical full-size cow. So when you guys order your half beefs and your quarter beefs and your whole beefs, halves and wholes can come with fat if you so choose. And a lot of you will write, hey, send me all the fat that it comes with. Well, if I did that, I would have an entire truckload, probably twice the size of your beef in fat. It comes with quite a bit. And the reason for that is we want our cattle to be fat. It makes for good intermuscular fat, which also makes a really good tasting steak and roast and that sort of a thing. But you end up with basically a lot of extra fat that comes off your beef. If you order a half beef or a whole beef from us, you might get maybe one or so packages about this size. And so I want to show you what to do with that. What we're going to do is we're actually going to render it. Beef fat is labeled suet. It'll also sometimes be labeled fat, but if you ever see the word suet, that's what that means. Beef fat is used to make tallow. Tallow is a very high temperature fat that you can use to cook with. We do a lot of frying with it, so we fry like potatoes here at the ranch with it when we're serving dinner. My wife and I will fry a lot of things with it. We'll cook vegetables with beef tallow. And when you make tallow, once you've used suet or fat to make tallow in a rendering device, you'll end up with sort of a yellowish color fat that's really very clear, and it will have a beef smell and a beef flavor to it. Lard, which comes from pigs, on the other hand, does not have any flavor or smell to it at all. So typically that's used in baking. For example, making pastries or scones or that sort of thing. The lard, pie crust, the lard is used for that. Really good stuff. Either one of them has a really high vitamin B12 content. You can get a lot of beta carotene out of it. Just like you want to eat beneficial fats inside your steaks, the brain and the nervous system runs on fat. So having this, we use a ton of it. We're going to render it into this big container. This is a Digiboil. I don't have a Digiboil, distributorship or anything, but these are great devices. You do not have to have this. You can do it as small as a pot this size if you want, and just a strainer. You don't need to do all your fat at one time either. But I'm just going to take you through how we do it. Once we're done, you can see there's a pour spout right here. A Digiboil has a digital temperature device on it that we use to actually make sure the fat doesn't get cooked too much. And then we're just going to pour it off into a jar like that. And then we'll cool it. Once we do, it takes on that, it's clear to begin with, and then it'll take on that yellow, that famous yellow color, and it'll have great flavor, great taste, and it's actually kind of a lot of fun to do it. So we'll get started. Okay, so what we're going to need to do to get started is we need our fat. This comes in about a 12-pound bag for us. Usually, like I said, you'll get maybe one or two of these on a whole beef. You need a really sharp fillet knife. You might want a hone. I like to have some sort of a basin or something to catch it in. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to cut the beef into chunks. So here's a piece of skin beef, just comes right off the flesh. And what we're looking to do is just cut this into about 1-inch chunks. That'll help it render faster. You can do it in the big pieces like I've got in this bag right now, but it tends to take a while. And so that's kind of what we're looking for, just small 1-inch squares if you can, depends on the size of the piece of beef fat that you're working with. Don't worry about if there's any meat left on it. We'll take care of that. We'll have a use for it later. And you can see that you just kind of just take and cut it into 1-inch squares. Okay, so before we put this inside of our Digiboil, we're going to insert a false bottom device. And so this has a screen in it, which is really kind of handy because what you end up with is a lot of well, what they call in the South chitlins, which are like the little pieces of meat that we talked about that we would use later. And they're kind of like bacon bits. And so it's really nice to be able to just sift that out, to drain it out. It fits right down inside there. And it comes with a little handle. If you saw those little two holes, you can actually hook it like this. And then just basically just lift it out. So it allows you to lift it out. I take that out when I'm cooking so that it doesn't get in the way. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our cubed fat that we got and we're just gonna dump it in. And we're gonna keep working on that because for something like this, it takes a long time to fill it up. If you're doing this at home and you just need something simple, go ahead and just put it right into a pot. And then later on, you can use a strainer instead of a false bottom like we have in here. The advantage of the false bottom is it's got a spout that's down here. So as we drain out the lard and the tallow and put it into our jars, we don't need to filter it.